Once upon a time, in a quaint little forest on the outskirts of a busy city, lived a tiny fairy named Gina. Gina was curious and adventurous, always exploring new places. One day, while fluttering around the edge of the woods, she caught a whiff of a wonderful aroma. It was a scent she had never smelled before, warm and inviting like a hug in the air. Intrigued, she followed the scent until she came upon a cozy little house at the edge of the forest. The window was open and Gina peeked inside. She saw a shiny steaming machine on the kitchen counter, making a strange bubbling sound. The scent was coming from it. Gina was mesmerized by the machine and the smell that filled the room. She flew inside and hovered above the coffee maker, watching as it brewed a pot of fresh coffee. The steam curled into the air, and she danced around it, enchanted by the magic of brewing coffee beans. Without Gina knowing, the house's owner, a kind woman named Julia, walked into the kitchen. Julia had just returned from her morning walk and was ready for her cup of coffee. But when she spotted the tiny fairy fluttering around her coffee maker, she stopped in her tracks. Her eyes widened with surprise and she gasped softly. "Hello there," Julia whispered, not wanting to scare Gina away. "Are you real?" Gina turned around, startled. She hadn't expected to be caught. Blushing, she shyly fluttered closer to Julia. "I'm sorry," she said in a small voice. "I couldn't resist the delightful scent. Your coffee maker is like a potion cauldron." Julia laughed gently. "I guess it does seem that way. It's magical in its own way." She held out her hand, palm up, inviting Gina to sit. "I'm Julia. What's your name?" Gina hesitated, but then landed softly on Julia's palm. "I'm Gina," she said, her wings shimmering in the morning light. "I live in the forest nearby, but I've always been curious about the world beyond." Julia smiled warmly. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Gina. You're welcome to visit any time." Touched by Julia's kindness, Gina felt an instant bond with the woman. She wanted to give Julia something special, a gift to show her gratitude. "As a thank you for your hospitality, I want to give you a gift," Gina said, her voice filled with excitement. "I'll give you the ability to hear the whispers of people's minds." Julia blinked, taken aback. "You mean I'll be able to read minds?" Gina nodded. "Yes, but use it wisely. You'll hear people's thoughts and dreams, but also their fears and worries. You can help them if you listen carefully." Julia felt a warm sensation spreading through her body as Gina's magic took hold. She could hardly believe it. "This is incredible. Thank you, Gina." From that day on, Julia discovered she could indeed hear the thoughts of people around her. It wasn't like a loud voice in her head, it was more like a soft whisper, a gentle breeze of thoughts. At first it was overwhelming, but Gina stayed by her side, guiding her on how to use the gift. Julia learned to focus on the thoughts of those who needed help. One day, while at the local market, Julia heard a soft whisper from a young boy standing near the fruit stall. "I wish I could buy these apples for my mum, but I don't have enough money." Julia glanced at the boy and saw the longing in his eyes. She bought a bag of apples and handed them to him. "Here you go for your mum," she said with a smile. The boy's face lit up with joy, and Julia felt her heart swell with warmth. As the days went by, Julia and Gina became close friends. They would sit together in the evenings, sipping tea and talking about the thoughts and dreams they had heard that day. Together, they helped many people in the town. They listened to the worries of the lonely, the dreams of the young, and the regrets of the old. Julia's ability to hear their thoughts allowed her to reach out to them, offering a kind word or a helping hand just when they needed it. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace, Gina looked at Julia and said, "You've done so much good with your gift, Julia. I'm proud of you." Julia smiled softly. "It's all because of you, Gina. I never imagined I could make such a difference." Then one day, a dark cloud loomed over the city. People were worried and afraid. There were rumors of a great storm coming, one that could destroy everything. Julia could feel the fear in their thoughts, like a heavy weight in the air. She knew she had to do something. With Gina's help, Julia was able to communicate with the townspeople, calming their fears and organizing a plan to prepare for the storm. They worked day and night, gathering supplies and making sure everyone had a safe place to stay. When the storm finally hit, it was fierce and powerful, but the town was ready. They had prepared well, and though the winds howled and the rain poured, everyone was safe. The next morning, as the sun rose over the quiet town, Julia and Gina looked around at the people, smiling and helping each other. "You did it, Julia," Gina whispered, her eyes shining with pride. "You used your gift to save them." Julia shook her head. "We did it, Gina. We saved them together." And so, in that small town on the edge of the forest, the unlikely friendship between a tiny fairy and a kind woman not only brewed delightful moments, but also created a bond that saved the town from darkness. And they lived happily ever after, sharing their magic and kindness with the world.